Joey vs Marik is considered one of the greatest underdog duels in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels. Albeit also one with the most upsetting ending.
Joey, no! Oh
no! For you see, during the final turn, Joey tanks a fatal attack from an Egyptian god, but still remains standing. Joey summons his Gearfried, and as Marik eloquently puts it,
if he succeeds in attacking my life points, I'll lose the duel and my Egyptian god card!
However, just as Joey attempts to call out his attack, collapses from both physical and mental exhaustion he had accumulated throughout the duel. Now, being unable to stand, the duel concludes with Joey being disqualified. And honestly, this is a truly heartbreaking end to something that was a fantastic display of dueling. So I thought, how about for today, let's take a really good look at this duel and see if Joey really was about to win this duel, if he had any other opportunities to win earlier in the duel, perhaps before he started suffering from exhaustion. And also, did Marik hold back against Joey, or did Marik's overconfidence almost cost him the duel? Now, if you've never watched this duel before, there is one important thing you need to know, and that is the reason why Joey collapsed in the context of the episode. You see, Marik decided to spice up the duel by making it into a shadow duel. The rules? A tether would bond a duelist's soul to his monster's soul, with the caveat being that every time one was destroyed or harmed, the wielder would feel the exact same thing that their monster did. For example, if a monster is electrocuted, well, so is the owner. Or if a monster is killed, feels the exact same pain that monster felt moments before its death. And honestly, that's all you need to know. We know the stakes now, let's look at the duel. The duel begins and Marik goes first. His opening hand consists of Gilgarth, Card of Last Will, Tribute Burial, Plasma Eel, Hell Poema, and Dark Wall of Wind. He summons Gilgarth in attack and sets his Dark Wall of Wind quick play spell face down and ends his turn. It's Joey's turn and we see his opening hand. It consists of Alligator Sword, Rocket Warrior, Baby Dragon, Graceful Dice, Foolish Burial, and Scapegoat. Joey thinks to himself that nothing in his hand can get over Gilgarth. So he sets his Scapegoat face down and summons Alligator's Sword into defense. First move off the bat, this could be considered a misplay already by Joey, as had he summoned his Rocket Warrior instead, he could have attacked and reduced the attack of Gilgarth to 1300, making it weak enough that on his next turn he would be able to destroy it. Perhaps he was saving this monster for a more threatening one later in the duel. However, I'm going to let you in on a little secret about this duel. Joey is going to play extremely cautious in this duel. So much so, it's actually going to hinder his dueling ability quite a lot. We'll talk about it more as it happens, but keep in mind that Joey is going to be a bit frightened to duel in this duel. But let's be fair to Joey's credit, this is the big bad Yami Marik, so you almost can't fault him for being afraid of every set card he plays. Regardless, Joey ends his turn here. Oh, and by the way, in case you were thinking it, Graceful Dice in the anime can only be used on monsters with less than 500 attack. So Graceful Dice couldn't be used here to get over Gilgarth, just in case you were wondering. It's back to Marik, and it's here that the duel enters the Shadow Realm. Marik draws Drulago, which he immediately summons and uses to destroy Alligator's Sword. Here, Joey receives the first shadow damage of the duel, which we're going to jot down as being drilled to death. Not a very nice way to go. Following this, Marik attempts to attack directly. However, Joey plays Scapegoat, creating 4 tokens as a line of defense. Marik destroys one, however, since he wasn't technically a monster, Joey receives no punishment. Marik ends his turn. It's Joey's turn and he draws Panther Warrior. He summons it to the field and enters his battle phase. However, in order to attack with Panther Warrior, he first has to sacrifice one of his tokens. He does this and attacks Gilgarth. It is destroyed and he inflicts both life point and shadow damage to Marik. However, since Marik is a little bit of a masochist, we're not going to talk about Marik taking shadow damage anymore, because one, it doesn't really affect him that much. It does a little, but nowhere near as much as Joey, and two, I think he kind of likes it. It's Marik's turn and he draws Hidden Soldiers. He plays Tribute Burial to remove from play Alligator's Sword from Joey's grave and Gilgarth from his own to normal summon Hell Poema without a sacrifice. Marik ends by setting Hidden Soldiers. But wait a minute, this is a massive red flag in the duel. As Yugi on the sidelines correctly states,
"Why didn't Marik attack? He must be up to something.
Why, pray tell, didn't Marik destroy Joey's 2 scapegoat tokens with his Hell Poema and Drelago? Or why didn't he do the more superior play of crashing his Hell Poema into Panther Warrior and then destroying a token? Well, it appears that the only reason that Marik did this, and is going to keep doing things like this for the rest of the duel, is because he has such little faith in Joey's dueling ability that he plans to win not through dueling. He wants to beat Joey in the most soul-crushing and traumatic way possible, by constantly wearing him down throughout the duel, by destroying as many of his monsters as possible in the worst ways he can possibly manage to do. To Marik, Joey is such a non-character. To him, he is not a threat in any sense of the word. There is no way, in Marik's mind, Joey could ever beat him in a duel. And through this way, he wants to end the duel with Joey simply losing the duel from death. However, ultimately, this is where Marik miscalculated. It's Joey's turn and he draws Jinzo. Joey is suspicious of Marik's Hell Poema and thinks if he summons Jinzo to attack it, he'll lose one of his best cards. So instead he summons Rocket Warrior. However, this was completely the wrong move and a classic case of overthinking a situation, as when Rocket Warrior is summoned, Marik plays his trap, Hidden Soldiers, to special summon Plasma Eel from his hand. Plasma Eel equips itself onto Panther Warrior, reducing its attack by 500, and in the process also electrocutes Joey simultaneously. Joey then uses Rocket Warrior to attack Hell Poema, which makes all battle damage 0, but reduces the monster's attack by 500. Joey then tributes a sheep token to allow Panther Warrior to attack the weakened Hell Poema. The attack is successful. However, Hell Poema's effect kicks in. Now, for as long as it remains in the graveyard, Joey must discard a random card at the end of every one of his battle phases. And since Joey's battle phase ends, Jinzo is sent to the grave. 2 quick things to mention here. One, I'm sure you all realised it, but had Joey just summoned Jinzo here, then all of these problems that he's just run into would not be an issue. In fact, Marik would have been in a ton of trouble. He wouldn't have been able to do anything, especially since Jinzo would have made Joey immune to all of Marik's current and future traps for as long as Jinzo was on the field, which, since Marik plays a very trap heavy deck, it was a missed opportunity. The second thing I want to mention is a little bit of a mistake in the dub. In the dub, it says that Hell Poema goes into Joey's graveyard, and so that's how he's like affecting it.
And I doubt you'll like it.
You're caught.
It's in your graveyard now.
That's not true. He goes into Marik's graveyard. The only reason this is important because Joey's going to use a card later called Question, which revolves around what card is at the bottom of Joey's deck. In this case, it probably would have been Hell Poema. It's important that that's not in the bottom of the graveyard. Big mistake. It's Marik's turn and he draws Coffin Seller, which he sets along with Card of Last Will. Why didn't he set Card of Last Will last turn so he could have drawn a bunch of cards? Well, now he has no cards in hand, so this is technically the most optimal way of playing this card. So I think it's fine Marik played it this way, absolutely fine. Marik again ends his turn without attacking. Remember, Marik's still trying to waste Joey, not beat him in a duel. It's Joey's turn and he draws Insect Queen. Doesn't fit with your deck, Joey. Please, get it out of there. Joey decides yet again it's too risky to summon a powerful monster, since Marik has just so much back row, and instead summons Baby Dragon to bolster his defense. However, yet again, Joey had overthought the situation, as summoning the 2200 attack point Insect Queen would have been the best play, since Marik had no traps that could protect himself. However, again, Joey doesn't know this, and bluffs do work in Yu-Gi-Oh! Even in real life, I've fell for bluffs, so yeah, Joey could fall for bluffs. However, what is unfortunate is a little bit later during the same turn, Joey is going to decide, let's go all out actually, screw the bluffs. Yes, Joey decides he's done being passive, and instead wants to go on the offensive. Yugi in the crowd agrees.
No, he should attack.
Huh?
In order for Joey to win, he must force Marik to reveal his traps right away. Once Joey knows what Marik's cards are, he can devise a strategy to destroy them.
Rocket Warrior attacks Drelago to reduce its attack, but Marik activates his trap, Card of Last Will, which lets him draw 5 cards when one of his monster's attack points are altered. The cards Marik draws are Legendary Fiend, Premature Burial, Relieve Monster, Nightmare Mirror, and the Winged Dragon of Ra. Joey tributes his last sheep token so Panther Warrior can attack and destroy Drelago. The attack is successful, but Marik activates his Coffin Cellar trap, making it so every time a monster card goes to Joey's grave, he takes 300 damage. Joey's battle phase ends and Hell Poema forces Joey to discard Insect Queen. Then, at the end phase, Plasma Eel reduces Panther Warrior's attack further by 500, and also electrocutes Joey again. It's Marik's turn and he draws Nightmare Wheel. He sets it face down, then activates Premature Burial at the cost of 800 life points. He does this to special summon Dralago back from the grave. He then immediately tributes it for the summon of the Legendary Fiend, which gains 700 attack during each of Marik's standby phases. Yet again, Marik doesn't attack, despite Baby Dragon and Panther Warrior being weak enough to be destroyed. The only logical reason I can think that Marik does this is because he wants Joey to be electrocuted more, maybe, since Plasma Eels attacked Panther Warrior. That's a best guess, but he's just being cocky, basically. It's Joey's turn and he draws Little Wingard. As Joey attempts to summon it, Marik plays Nightmare Wheel, targeting Rocket Warrior, locking it in place and making it unable to attack or use its effects, making it so that Joey also takes 500 damage during each of Marik's standby phases, and of course, on top of that, Joey will feel the same pain the monster does. Joey again attempts to summon his Little Wingard in defense. He then switches Panther Warrior to defense, and with no other options, he ends his turn. However, since Joey didn't enter his battle phase, he isn't forced to discard a card, which would have either been his Graceful Dice or Foolish Burial. However, Plasma Eel's effect still kicks in, reducing Panther Warrior's attack more and electrocuting Joey for the third time. It's Marik's turn and he draws Malevolent Catastrophe. Since it's his standby phase, Nightmare Wheel inflicts 500 damage and Joey is inflicted with a Torture Wheel's pain. On top of this, Legendary Fiend gains 700 attack from its effect. And it is here that Marik decides, you know what? I'm going to start attacking now. And so, he attacks and destroys Little Wingard. And since one of Joey's monsters was sent to the grave, Coffin Cellar deals 300 damage. And he receives yet again more shadow damage, this time from being sliced in half. Marik ends by setting Malevolent Catastrophe face down. It's Joey's turn and he draws Question. And a really awesome exchange of dialogue happens here between Marik and Joey.
The card I'm holding in my hand right now is gonna put an end to your entire dueling strategy.
You lie!
Joey immediately uses Question. This card makes it so that Marik has to guess what card is at the bottom of Joey's grave. If he guesses right, the monster is banished. If he guesses wrong, the monster is summoned instead. Since this card was sent via Hell Poema, Marik actually has no way of knowing, and doesn't even attempt to guess. The card was of course Jinzo, which is summoned straight to the field. Now, due to the anime effect of Jinzo, all trap cards on the field are destroyed. These include Nightmare Wheel, Coffin Cellar, and Malevolent Catastrophe. Joey goes on the offensive, switching all of his monsters to attack. Jinzo attacks first, destroying Legendary Fiend. However, as Joey attempts to attack with his other two monsters for seemingly game, Marik plays Dark Wall of Wind, which was a card that he had set during his first turn. This made him unable to receive direct damage. The battle phase ends and Joey is forced to discard Foolish Burial, which, if you didn't know, in the anime, Foolish Burial sends a card from your deck to your opponent's graveyard. If you know any way that that's a really good card, let me know in the comment section below because I'd love to know, but anime Foolish Burial is really weird. The end phase occurs and Plasma Eel takes the last of Panther Warrior's attack and electrocutes Joey for the fourth time. It's Marik's turn and he draws Lava Golem. He sacrifices Joey's Jinzo and Baby Dragon to summon it to Joey's side of the field. Why didn't he sacrifice Joey's Rocket Warrior instead of the Baby Dragon? I have no idea. It would have been a much better play, but sure, why not? Now, every time Joey ends his turn, he will take 700 damage as long as this monster remains on the field. Marik ends by setting Relieve Monster face down. It's back to Joey and he draws Gamble. Joey attempts to attack directly, despite Marik's mind games and bluff talk. However, as he does, Marik plays Relieve Monster to return Plasma Eel back to his hand, and then immediately resummon it in defense to tank the attack. However, since Plasma Eel can't be destroyed by battle, it remains on the field. The battle phase ends and Hell Poema snatches Gamble from Joey. And I think here is a great time to bring up the big flaw of Hell Poema that Joey never once capitalized on. But you see, Joey has had spells and traps the majority of the time in his hand. He's had a couple monsters in there, but had he just put these cards in his back row, he wouldn't have to discard anything. Maybe he wants, if he gets a monster, there's a chance it could take one of the other cards instead. I don't know. It's a bit of a bad play by Joey there. There were some options he could have done. Some cards in his hand he could have used. never mind. Anyway, it's the end phase, so Lava Golem deals 700 damage to Joey, leaving him with 2,200 life points left. It's back to Marik and he draws Machine Duplication, which he uses on his Plasma Eel. Its anime effect allows it to summon 2 more from his deck. He then uses them both to latch onto Lava Golem and Rocket Warrior. Marik ends by setting Nightmare Mirror face down. It's Joey's turn and he draws Guilford the Lightning. Beautifully, the graceful dice that he had in his hand throughout the entire duel, and that has dodged every Hell Poema discard, finally has a target. He uses it on Marik's Plasma Eel, multiplying its attack by 6, and since now it's too powerful for Machine Duplication, Machine Dupe and the 2 Plasma Eels are destroyed. Joey then tributes Panther Warrior, Rocket Warrior and Lava Golem to summon Guilford the Lightning, who on summon destroys all of Marik's monsters. Try not to think about this turn too much because Joey could have just summoned Guilford the Lightning by sacrificing the 3 monsters and he would have nuked Marik's field, doing the exact same thing, except he would have been able to keep Graceful Dice in hand. But sure, whatever. You can do it this way if you want, I guess. Anyway, Joey tries to attack for game, but Marik uses Nightmare Mirror to negate the attack and inflict 1,000 damage to Joey, and also allow him to discard the Winged Dragon of Ra from his hand to the grave. Hell Poema's effect attempts to activate during the end phase, but Joey has nothing to discard. Joey ends his turn here. It's Marik's turn and the penultimate turn of the duel. This is the turn that Marik plans to murder Joey. Marik draws Monster Reborn. He uses it straight away to revive the Winged Dragon of Ra, which has 0 attack and 0 defense. However, Marik plays one of Ra's special abilities. Marik pays 1,000 life points to transform Ra into its Phoenix mode, granting it for 1 turn complete immunity to destruction and the power to disintegrate every card the opponent controls on the field. Marik attacks and disintegrates Gilfer with what can only be described as a sacred flame of unimaginable heat. I mean, from the look on Joey's face, being disintegrated by sacred fire does not look like a fun experience. As the dust is settling and Marik feels like this duel is in the bag, Joey is revealed to still be standing. Marik absolutely bricks himself here, and since an Egyptian god that is brought back from the grave has to go to the grave during the end phase, Marik is left completely wide open. Now it's the final turn and Joey's turn. With all his strength he draws a card, which to his luck is Gearfried the Iron Knight, a card with enough attack to win him the duel. He summons the monster and attempts to declare an attack, but due to being electrocuted 4 times, drilled to death, cut in half, execution wheeled, disintegrated by a god's sacred fire, he collapses before being able to declare an attack, resulting in his disqualification.
It's not fair!
And unfortunately, it is here that the duel ends. Joey, you did a fantastic job. None of us can fault you for the duel you've just done. But that is what I'm going to do now. Let's pick apart this duel, shall we?
I must admit, Wheeler's performance today was quite impressive. Perhaps he's not the third-rate amateur I thought he was.
In all honesty, I feel like we've covered the bulk of the misplays of both sides from both duelists. For example, on Marik's side of the field, what mistakes was he making? Well, basically he was holding back the entire duel. Marik was so focused on toying and playing with Joey and trying to get an end where Joey simply just dies from exhaustion that he didn't focus on the duel, and because of that his dueling suffered, and in the end it almost cost him the entire duel. So the question becomes for Marik, had he tried, could he have beat Joey? Well, maybe. He had a lot of opportunities where had he just simply attacked, he would have really whittled down Joey's resources. And, well, Marik, with all the stuff that he had, he would have been in a really good position to take advantage of the duel and maybe win. But let's be fair, cockiness and underestimating your opponent, that is a legitimate misplay. So I think, regardless of how this duel would have gone, even if Marik would have played a little bit better and more to the rules, I still think he would have toyed around with Joey. So Marik, at the end of the day, you misplayed hard, and because of that, it almost cost you the ultimate price. Could have been Joey walking away with your Egyptian god, and it could have been a really, really interesting ending. Well, what did Joey do wrong? What was Joey's big mistake? Well, for Joey, he played a great duel. He was someone that was giving it his all throughout the entire duel. However, he played very much not like his normal self. He played very hesitant. And the reason that he did this is because, well, he's playing against Marik, the main villain and someone that has already took down Mai. So he's going to be a bit afraid of everything that Marik has. Every face down card, it must be something really devastating. This is the big bad of the series, so it's completely understandable that Joey would play a little bit reserved throughout this duel. And honestly, that's what cost him the duel in this sense. Had he got his Jinzo out straight away, the duel could have been different. Had he got his Insect Queen out, had he summoned his Rocket Warrior a little bit earlier, who knows? Possibly, he could have won this duel. In fact, even outside of just summoning some big monsters, had Joey simply attacked in situations where Marik just had some face down bluffs, could have been better. So, to wrap up, had Marik actually tried his hardest and duelled, in my opinion, I think he might have won. However, as we already know, the way that Marik actually did play against Joey, Joey was, for all intents and purposes, the real winner of this duel and would have been the winner. There's no ifs, there's no buts. At the end of this duel, had Joey attacked, he would have won. And not only would he have gone to the finals, but he would also be the new wielder of the Winged Dragon of Ra. And with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. That was a duel analysis of Marik versus Joey. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to make. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later.